In the past two segments, we've been talking about how Trump uses the art of the deal. It's really just the art of the deal. He wrote about it, years ago, how he makes deals, how he negotiates, and people are still too dumb to understand what's going on. They're still too dumb just to read the book. The man told you all how he's going to do it, and you don't pay attention. Welcome back to the War Room. My name is Jake Lloyd, your host for today, filling in for Owen Schroyer. So far today, we've been talking about a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news right now. A lot of very exciting stuff. A lot of very exciting stuff. Of course, we have the North Korea summit coming up on the 12th. It's going to be a big deal regardless of what happens because, either on one hand, we get denuclearization. Maybe it takes more than one summit, and that's fine. Trump has said maybe we'll have more than one summit. There are rumors going about that it's possible that, North Korea could meet here in the United States with Trump, and, maybe we could talk about some things there. At the very least, we have heard rumors that the Korean War may be put to an end because even if we don't agree on denuclearization at this juncture, we don't, have an exact plan worked out. We don't know exactly what's going on. We're in talks, but at the very least, it would still be monumental. It would be an incredibly important moment in history if we could end the 70-ish years of open hostility between the North and South Korea, between Korea and the United States. And of course, even though China will not, they won't suddenly become our friend, it is kind of a contentious point, being that they back North Korea, we back South Korea, and the countries are still technically at war. So that is and plus just reading in the history books that President Trump is the one that brought down that stopped the Korean War after so many years, after many, many decades. President Trump is the one to end the war. And we heard so much during the election, so very much. We heard Trump is going to cause nuclear war. It's not even that he's just a warmonger and he's going to cause some kind of conflict. They could have, they could have at least made it semi-realistic with a Republican president, and they could have said, oh, he's going to be like all the other Republican presidents. He's going to start a war, like Bush did in Iraq or Afghanistan. He's going to start a war in Korea. He's going to start a war in Iran. He's going to start a war in Africa, or he's going to go to war with Canada, whatever they would want to say. That would be more realistic than saying he's going to start a nuclear war, but that's what we heard. And instead, we may see the end within the first 2 years of his presidency. We might see an end to probably the biggest threat to nuclear war that we have, that's in existence. The North Korean conflict is probably the most likely conflict ongoing at the moment to cause nuclear war. But instead, Trump has effectively ended it. We may see an official end to it. In the past two segments, we've been talking about how Trump uses the art of the deal. It's really just the art of the deal. He wrote about it, years ago, how he makes deals, how he negotiates, and people are still too dumb to understand what's going on. They're still too dumb just to read the book. The man told you all how he's going to do it, and you don't pay attention. But we were talking about how, number one, how he uses these events like the Syrian strikes in order to show other countries that he means business, in order to pressure them and say, hey, look, I know that you're trying to get these nuclear weapons in order to act as a deterrent so that you don't end up like Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein or any of these other leaders that we have deposed and executed. I know that you are trying to use it for that, but look, we will still be, Syria is backed by Russia. Syria and Russia are pretty close friends, and we are still willing to engage in some form of military activity in order to deter them from amassing chemical weapons. So how much more will we do to you when you're trying to get nuclear weapons? Who cares if you're allied with China? We don't care. We will still destroy your regime, or at least hurt you militarily if you want to do these things. So we explained how he uses military to do things like that. We also discussed how he uses tariffs to push other powers to influence their regional politics. We saw it with China. He uses trade tactics with China to push them to push North Korea to the table. And we see how he even uses trade to influence other countries to do what they want. It's just, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Okay, it's like, I always think of it in this way, like, it's like being a kid, and there's games where little kids will, I don't know what it is, but there's some pinching game, and it's like you pinch somebody. The best way to get somebody to stop pinching you is you just pinch them back, and you pinch them harder, and you just, as long as you can, and they realize, okay, well, this isn't going to stop until I stop, so then they let go. Well, Europe and China and Canada, they've been pinching us. They've had tariffs on us for decades. It's sometimes up to like 300% at least. And the best way for us to get them to drop these tariffs is just to pinch them back and say, hey, I'll let go when you do. And they, of course, are saying like, oh, Europe is like, we have to step up. Merkel says, let's see where it is. Merkel urges Europe. Okay. Merkel urges Europe to step up. That's what I wanted to say. Merkel urges Europe to step up in Trump's new world order. Like, oh, Trump is totally changing the world order. They like new world orders until it's a, quote, new world order focused around the nation state and individual national sovereignty. That's, but that's an aside. And they're all freaking out. How could you do this? Justin Trudeau was like, how could you do this to us? Our soldiers fought and died together. And Trump is like, didn't you burn down the White House one time? And he's using trade tariffs to get rid of other trade tariffs. I'm sure that he would love to drop them. It's like, how much money are we going to make off of these trade tariffs? It's not going to get rid of the deficit. It's not going to eliminate our national debt. So why would we be doing them? It seems dangerous, right? No. It seems dumb not to do them when you're using them to pressure other people to get rid of the tariffs that they have on you. So we talked about that. And we also talked about how he uses other countries to manipulate their little friends. And that takes us to the Middle East, which is the next phase of the Trump foreign policy experience, the Trump foreign policy agenda, because we see already that Trump has been working in the Middle East. And I'll break down the ties for you real quick because it's not exactly obvious. It's pretty clear if you just look into it a little bit, but you have to look into it pretty deeply. It's not hard, but it is time consuming. So I'll go through that real quick. Trump wants to bring an effective, all-encompassing peace plan to the Middle East. He signaled that whenever he talked to President Macron about pulling out of the Iran deal, he said, this is a bad deal. This deal is not good for us. We don't like it. I might pull out. You know what I'm going to do. The world doesn't yet. And of course, on May 12th, we learned that he was going to pull out. And he was talking about it all through the campaign. Oh, I'm going to pull out of the Iran deal, blah, blah, blah. So he pulls out of the Iran deal. And he says, but hopefully we can get a better deal, one that actually fixes the problems. And we'll see if we can do that. But hopefully we can get one. And what he wants is one where everybody is involved. He wants one where it solves the actual problems, because why does Iran have a nuclear program right now? Why do they feel the need to do so? Well, it's because of what they call the big Satan and the little Satan. I wouldn't, big Satan being America, little Satan being Israel, and I wouldn't exactly go so far to call us Satan, but I, understand the sentiment at the very least. The interests of America, and really it's the interests of our ally Israel in the region, because, the neocons and Israel, they both formulated this plan of how to secure Israel's borders in the 90s, and then it was pitched to Bill Clinton in the statement of principles for the project for a new American century. You can look that up and read it. It's very interesting. And it laid out all these things where they needed to go to war with Iraq, and we needed to go to war with Syria, and we needed to go to war with Libya, and we needed to go to war with Iran in order to secure Israel's borders. So they're very concerned. And, Trump obviously is not going to go to war in Iran. He's not a neocon, but Iran, of course, is still scared. They don't know that they shouldn't trust Trump, or that they should trust Trump. Either way, they don't know. So they're still trying to create a deterrent. And by no means am I defending the Iranian regime. I'm just, getting into their head and looking at the way they think. They want a deterrent. How do we not end up like Iraq, Syria, Libya, etc.? How do we not end up in the crosshairs of the United States and Israel? Well, they create a nuclear arms program in order to be a deterrent. Well, how will Trump do this? Well, we already see Trump using Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia wants our support for their reforms. Trump is using them to bring the Palestinians to talks. And I believe that Trump will use his diplomacy to talk to Russia, to get Iran, Turkey, Syria, all of these other powers to come to talks with our friends in the region, that is Saudi Arabia and Israel, and we'll all come together and create an all-encompassing plan where we all agree, hey, we're not going to attack each other, not going to have massive war. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jake Lloyd. This has been an excellent experience for me here on The War Room. Please tune in next week.
Maximize your potential and take your body back with Super Male Vitality. We're breaking the conditioning and fighting back against the globalists' war on male vitality. Our ultimate non-GMO formula is sourced from powerful organic herbs that have been gathered from around the world and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. InfoWars Life wants to bring you the highest quality products. Our unique combination of ingredients is designed to assist the body in regulating proper balance and creating superior vitality in males. Support your body and mind and take yourself to the next level. Boost your vitality and energize your life. Take control of your body. Grab a bottle of Super Male Vitality today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.